What causes an entire civilization to vanish, without leaving behind a clear reason why? High on the mesas of the American Southwest, nestled among the cliffs and deserts of modern-day Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico, lies the haunting legacy of a mysterious people, the Anasazi. For centuries they thrived in the heart of this arid landscape, building massive stone cities and intricate cliff dwellings, and then, they disappeared. But why? Welcome to Old Topic. Today we explore the chilling enigma of the Anasazi. Who were they? How did they live? And what really caused them to abandon their homes and vanish from history? The story of the Anasazi begins over 2,000 years ago. Archaeologists call them the Ancestral Puebloans, and they were among the most sophisticated ancient cultures in North America. They didn't build pyramids or raise armies, but what they achieved was no less remarkable. Using nothing but stone tools, they carved entire villages into canyon walls. They constructed multi-story dwellings out of adobe and sandstone, and they did it all in a harsh, dry environment where water was scarce and survival demanded constant ingenuity. But it's not just their architecture that stuns modern researchers. The Anasazi were expert astronomers. Their buildings aligned with the movements of the sun and stars. At Chaco Canyon, a sacred hub of their culture, buildings were laid out with mathematical precision. Ceremonial structures called kivas were used for religious rituals, their circular shapes symbolizing the connection between earth and sky. Clearly this was a culture rich in knowledge, deeply spiritual and highly organized. So what went wrong? By the 13th century something changed. The great cities of the Anasazi, places like Mesa Verde, Chaco Canyon and Canyon de Chelly, were suddenly abandoned. Entire communities were emptied, sacred sites were left behind. The people who had spent centuries building these centers simply walked away, and the reasons why have puzzled historians for over 100 years. One of the most widely accepted theories is environmental collapse. The Anasazi lived in a region where agriculture was always a delicate balancing act. They grew corn, beans and squash, carefully storing food for lean years. But tree ring data from the southwest reveals a severe drought hit the region around the late 1200s, a drought so intense it lasted decades. Without rain, crops would have failed, water sources dried up, and the land could no longer support large populations. But drought alone may not explain everything. As the drought persisted, evidence suggests the Anasazi society began to unravel. Archaeological sites show signs of violence, burned buildings, hastily buried bodies, even evidence of cannibalism in some locations. Could it be that, as resources dwindled, communities turned against each other in desperation? Did warfare break out over water and food? Others point to social and political instability. The Anasazi had complex leadership systems and religious hierarchies. If these institutions began to break down, perhaps trust in the system crumbled. People may have lost faith in their leaders, their gods, and their way of life. In the face of failing crops and social unrest, entire groups may have chosen to flee, to seek safety and sustenance elsewhere. But there's another layer to this mystery, one that adds an eerie chill to the story. The Anasazi didn't just vanish without a trace. They left behind strange clues. Walls sealed shut from the inside, valuable items abandoned in place, food still stored in pots. It's as if they left in a hurry, or were forced out. Some legends among Native American tribes speak of spiritual warnings, omens that drove people away. Could it be that something unrecorded, something unknown drove the Anasazi from their homeland? And then there's the name itself, Anasazi. It's a Navajo word often translated as ancient enemies or enemies of our ancestors. Many modern Pueblo peoples, descendants of the Anasazi, prefer not to use the term. They call their ancestors Hisatzinom or simply Ancestral Puebloans. And according to these descendants, the Anasazi didn't vanish. They migrated. They moved south and east, joining other communities and blending into new cultures. In this view, the disappearance isn't a mystery at all. It's a continuation. But the ruins remain. Silent stone cities carved into cliffs, petroglyphs etched into rock, broken pottery scattered across the desert. They whisper of a people who once knew this land better than anyone, who built, thrived, worshipped, and endured for centuries, before finally walking away. What lesson do we take from the Anasazi? Some see it as a warning. A story of how climate change, combined with overuse of natural resources, can bring even the most advanced societies to collapse. Others see it as a tale of adaptability, of how people, faced with crisis, choose to move on, rebuild, and survive in new ways. And perhaps that is the real secret of the Anasazi. Not that they vanished, but that they endured. That their blood still flows in the veins of Pueblo peoples today. That their knowledge, their stories, and their spirit live on in oral traditions passed down across generations. But the ruins they left behind still haunt the mesas. Empty windows and stone walls stare out across the desert like hollow eyes, asking the same question that has puzzled so many. What happened here? In the end, the mystery of the Anasazi isn't just a story of the past, it's a mirror, a reflection of our own challenges with environment, society, and survival. As we walk through the ancient paths they once tread, we are left to wonder, when the land turns against you, when your traditions falter, and your world begins to crumble, what would you do?